Okay, switching tracks now to an entirely different story. An update coming in regarding the situation in the Middle East and different countries' reactions to it. We're focusing right now on the Gulf Cooperation Council's Palestine Summit. I'll have a colleague join us just to bring us input on what's taken place there. Remember, 6 countries part of the GCC: Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia and the UAE. And remember, Qatar in particular, Doha, has friendly relations with Hamas. We'll talk about each of these countries in a second. But first, my colleague Anand to tell us more about what took place at the summit. Anand, over to you.
Well, intel inputs gathered by our group editor, Security, Manoj Gupta. As I say, good morning and happy Deepavali, Shubh Deepavali to you, Goya, and to all our viewers. So the important aspect is that there is an effort to try and legitimize Hamas and an increasing influence of Iran as a nation within the Gulf nations, within the Middle East. One of the biggest concerns for some of these countries are their investments. If there is a continuing escalation of the conflict, if other Iran-backed entities like the Hezbollah, the Houthis and some of these elements who are also operating out of Iraq, they get active, then a lot of investments done by the Saudis, Qatar, the UAE, they start suffering. And if that, and in a scenario like that, clearly, things will take a turn for the worse for these nations. There are also internal fluxes. Iran, there is a huge issue with the current regime, but it is increasing its influence. Many believed it is Turkey which is calling the shots, but somewhere there seems to be a rise of Iran. So amidst the entire sectarian strife or pull and tugs between the Saudis, that is largely Sunni, and Iran, which is largely Shia, over religious control. Co-religionism is something which seems to be superseding sectarian differences, as they all are coming together to portray themselves as united as one Muslim entity or one Muslim grouping of the GCC. But the larger concern is, if Hamas is seen as a representation of the Palestinians and direct representative of the Palestine and the rightful representative, that means are these nations then justifying or endorsing or backing the kind of acts of and barbarism that's been committed by the Hamas? That's a larger question that everybody will have to think. But somewhere, these nations, which are significant amount of wealth between them, especially Saudi, UAE, Qatar, and Turkey, they will then exert pressure on the US to try and weigh in on Israel to pull back from Hamas before Israel is able to totally destroy Hamas's terror infrastructure and its entire operations within Gaza. Now, so clearly, I think the Israelis also understand that as this pressure increases, the clock is ticking for them to complete their ground operations and to secure what their objective is, that is to cleanse all of northern Gaza of the Hamas and destroy its terror infrastructure altogether, and use that entire area created as a buffer zone between southern Gaza and Israel and turn that into a no man's land. Now, is that going to be, are they going to be able to achieve that objective? We'll have to wait and watch. But there are some interesting developments with the increasing influence of Iran, which sees somewhere the hand of China somewhere behind it, Russians there. So there are wheels within wheels here to understand this. But sectarian conflicts and sectarian tugs and pulls aside within the Arab nations or the Muslim nations in this region, co-religionism seems to be superseding all of that, and there seems to be a justification of and validation of the Hamas. Now, that is something which is a cause for concern, and other nations will be closely watching this. So these are the inputs that we have gathered. Interesting turn of events here, but this